Are you a mom navigating estrangement and you're looking for some additional possibilities on what could have went wrong? What is causing the estrangement? Today, I have 4 additional tips for you. In my previous video, I had some tips in there as well. You can check that out. But today, let's chat about personal growth. Number 1, personal growth and independence. So as we moms, we raise our children, and sometimes we forget that they are their own person, right? So we forget that they need to grow personally as well. They're going to have ups and downs, and they're going to have struggles. And many of us do so much protecting of them while they are at home that we don't really let them get out and make their own mistakes. So what happens is they end up flying the coop, whether it's going to college or running away as a teenager. Maybe there's a lot of issues there at home and things happened. So regardless of why they left the house or when they left the house, or maybe you're dealing with a child that won't leave the house, because I hear a lot about that whole failure to thrive situation where they're failure to launch and thrive, really. One of these things is we have to remember that it's a natural process for our adult kids to seek independence, as they should, right? And that is how they're going to navigate the rest of their life. So we want to encourage that for them. One of those things is we tend to not be able to resonate with some of their evolving identities, their evolving ideas, because maybe they don't match ours. And so then we end up in this place where we're having a lot of strife at home. And so their independence and their personal growth are kind of stifled in the sense of they end up leaving because they feel like they're not understood or heard. And then you may feel like it's too late at that point, right? And so that's where a lot of estrangement that I see does play a huge factor. And number 2 is mental health challenges. And I just want to mention, I am not a therapist, but I have had a lot of therapy, and I work with a lot of moms whose kids do have mental health challenges. And there's absolutely time for therapy, right? If you are concerned about your child or even yourself, if you're worried about something like that, you do need to seek a therapist. But I want to just remember that mental health challenges, we're all affected by them, right? I'm not a big person on diagnosis, because I feel like many times I've seen it too often, personally and with clients, that when we label someone with something, that becomes their identity. And they will live up to that identity for the rest of their life because they feel like they have no options. They feel like that's just who they are, and they will use every excuse in the book to justify their behavior because they have XYZ, right? So we want to address, there is a lot of stigma around mental health, which is very sad. And I hope that, over time here, this gets better in our country and in our world, because there's so many people suffering, and it's extremely sad. But I do want you to know that you need to be able to have open discussions around the mental health issues. Like I said, seek that professional help if you need it. But fostering some understanding and empathy, even when you don't really understand maybe what they're going through, it doesn't really make sense. But you also at the same time have to take a look at patterns, because I serve a lot of moms whose children have, different mental health situations going on in their life, but it's been going on for years and years and years, and they refuse help. So we have to remember that just like you and I have to help ourselves, our grown children have to be willing to help themselves as well. We can't do it for them. And that is the difficult part for parents, right? Because we want to be able to solve all the problems. So number 3 is life changes and transitions, because major life events can alter family dynamics, right? Good and bad. And so we want to remember that we have to, whether something good or bad is happening in your family. So if you have a life change such as a divorce, or even such a thing as maybe your adult daughter or son, they have a child, and that's a life change. It's a transition. That's a happy event, right? But it still can affect the family dynamics, because then you as a mom have to determine what is your role. How much are you going to participate? How much advice are you going to give? All of these things that we talk about a lot, because we forget that life, as they grow up and their life changes and they transition into the workforce, and maybe they're getting married or college or whatever the case may be, those things are crucial, that we try to remember where our place is in their life as mom slash friend. Obviously, the goal would be to be able to be friends with your adult child, right? To be able to let them live their own life, but have a good relationship. That's what you all want, or you wouldn't be here. So number 4 is misaligned expectations. You know, I'm a firm believer on expectations, that we have too many of them on people. When we have unmet expectations, we react. Typically, we react, and we can show major disappointment. It turns into a strained relationship. And so I just want to encourage you to have honest conversations about your boundaries around your expectations or lack thereof, and letting our adult children live their own life, but yet wanting to be a part of their life in a respectful way, right? So there's a fine line and there's a balance, and that includes boundaries on both sides. But at the end of the day, when you factor in respect goes a long way, because when you have respect for someone, you have no problem with their boundaries. And that's where a lot of you moms are struggling, because you're not being treated with respect. And somewhere along the line, someone didn't treat your child with respect. Whether that was in the family or friends or teachers or whomever, because it's learned behavior. It's definitely learned behavior. It could go back to the mental illness. It could go back to a lot of things. It could go back to, their childhood or last week. I don't know the answer to that. Each of your family is different. So I just want to encourage you that these are some, not an exhaustive list, of course, but these are a couple other reasons why I see children walking away from families. And so I just hope that helps you today, and I'll see you next time.